What we'll see as a common thread in neoliberalism is that the self-preservation rhetoric of neoliberal supporters is everywhere. And you'll see it in logical arguments that oppose, say, increasing minimum wage. Because the idea that if we were to increase minimum wage, then restaurants wouldn't be able to afford to pay their employees, and so people are going to lose their jobs, and so we're going to have a spike in unemployment, and a spike in unemployment is bad for growth. So let's not raise the minimum wage. We can reason ourselves into all sorts of positions based on theory. But what's kind of interesting about this is the fact that the city of Seattle did implement a $15 minimum wage, a $15 minimum wage to enunciate there in the fight for 15. They were the first to do it, thanks in part to a billionaire named Nick Hanauer, who gives a talk about all of these. And the fact that once Seattle did implement this $15 minimum wage, the restaurant industry, for example, which was expected to crash, because how can restaurants afford to pay their customers a $15 minimum wage? What they found out is that it actually boomed. And in theory, this might puzzle a lot of economists, but in reality, it's actually quite simple. When you pay your employees a livable minimum wage, they actually have enough money to go out and eat for themselves. They're not just eating top ramen every night. So you've actually created more customers because your own employees can become your customers. Now, this is a slippery slope. To rationalize these positive social changes in the name of furthering our same neoliberal goals of growth, I don't like that. But it's the argument that actually encouraged billionaires and politicians alike to change their mind about the idea of minimum wage. So we have to recognize where we are and where we want to be. Where we are is this world, and where we want to be is very idealistic, and there are a lot of dreams for what that looks like once we are able to get there. But what we have to understand about formulating a persuasive message to create the necessary change that will take us from here to there is that we need to speak the language of the people that actually have the power to make that change. And to speak the language of the people that have the power to increase our minimum wage, what we need to tell them is that if you increase minimum wage, your company is actually going to grow because you've just increased your customer base, people who can afford to buy your goods. Whether you're a restaurant, coffee shop, bookstore, that holds true. When people have a livable wage, they can actually spend more. So it does stimulate the economy. So the argument that our friend Nick takes here is that we should pay people a higher wage so that they can contribute to the economy and stimulate growth. What I believe is that endless growth is not the answer. But what I also believe is that if we are able to construct these arguments that make politicians change their mind, that's a good thing. Because at the end of the day, minimum wage workers in Seattle are making $15 an hour. And they had to do what they had to do to get there. And I don't think that we should just be complacent and say, I feel a little dirty that we cut these corners to get to where we are, and yeah, we're here, we are, but are we still bound by the system that forced our hand? It's a start, but it is not enough. Not enough by any stretch of the word. We need to push for better ideas. We need to say, yes, thank you for the $15 minimum wage. Now I can go out to restaurants and I can go eat and I can go buy books at the local bookstore. But what I also want to do is go to a park with my friends and we bring our own bottle of wine and we sit there and we pop it and we enjoy each other's company for free. Just existing. There's a lot more to be done. And we can be grateful for positive changes that take us from where we are to where we want to go. But we have to recognize it's not enough. We should not dismiss these changes because they're not enough. We shouldn't say, doesn't do it. You didn't raise the minimum wage because it was a socially just thing to do, not good enough. What are you going to do? Are you going to decline the $15 minimum wage at that point? Where is the result? Should be the goal. The result should be the goal, and we're coming here for a very specific result. Neoliberalism's got to go, and a post-2020 ideology needs to take hold. And that's what we're formulating here at Wealthy Nation. I'm glad you're here with us. Let's keep it going.